Okay, this is Queen Raw with the Ascension Show, and Ras Bongo. He's continuing on with his story of a youth coming up in Philadelphia and getting his first instrument on a stroke of Jah Rastafari. Rasta came in and blessed you with an instrument. So then you ran into the Sun Ra family?
Yeah, well, they were teaching in the community. I went to a high school, and right down the street from the high school, they had a school called the African Free School, and they was teaching us Swahili and giving us lessons on how we as black people should have African names. And you know, so they was had naming ceremonies, and it made so much sense to me, because when you look at, everybody can be identified by their name, place of origin, cultural history, respect for ancestor and tradition, and we have abandoned that. And then we wonder why we're like lost. You know, we're not the lost tribe, we are the original tribe.
Yeah.
You understand? And you know, lost just means domesticated. So when you grow your dreadlocks, you're saying that I'm free from the domestication. I'm free from the influences of fashion and style and vanity and materialism. I'm free. I'm of another world. I'm of another realm. I'm a spiritual warrior. And this is what we represent as the dreadlock. You understand? So, you know.
So now you used to also do T-shirts.
Yeah, I had a
period where you're doing a whole career, a couple of 10, 20 years of T-shirt production.
So predominantly, that's what I'm known as.
In High Times magazine, right? Long time.
Yeah, so and I still do. Am in the T-shirt business. I always call it wearable art. And I was living in Hawaii when I started that business.
And you know, one of your most famous T-shirts that's still around on people's bodies today is the one with the guy in chains. I survived 400 years, right?
And my other one, I survived 400 years of America, and Clan Buster.
Oh, the Clan Busters, yeah.
So those were my first T-shirts I designed like over 30 years ago, and they're still selling today.
And then you also got into clothes too, design. Right?
Yeah, with textiles, and you know. So, you know, my thing was being self-reliant, you know, as being a student of Marcus Garvey. So I tried, and I was very successful at building alternative economics for my community. At one time I had 6 or 7 full-grown men supporting their families working for Ras Star, you know, so we had a good 15-year run.
Chopping it up.
And then when the economics changed, I was stayed above the curve because I was one of the only fine artists and graphic artists that made the shift to computers. I've been doing on a Mac for over 25 years, doing computer graphics for over. I was the first. I was on a Mac, and people used to bring tours through my house to see this dread on a computer. They thought it was like.
Oh, I remember when you was going to that period.
Right. So, but you know, I just say that to say, you know, very first edition of Photoshop.
Now,
you know, stuff like that.
I have heard this story before, but tell my audience about your trip to Africa. When you went to Africa, how they treated you.
As a Rasta man, you know, I'm just so humbled to be of this legacy. And you know, so as I traveled to Africa, I took 100 pounds of merchandise into Africa. You know, like baby diapers and
this was
books.
In the 80s?
Yeah, and pencils and medicine and condoms and you know, just all kinds of practical superfoods and nuts, dried foods, and just all kinds of things like that. And so I was a custom nightmare. And before I went to Africa, I did a tour through Europe. So everywhere I went to Europe, I'm lugging all this shit, and everywhere the customs would jack me up and take me and, you know, do their whole. So I get to Africa, the last place on my trip, you know, and I'm saying to myself, I'm home now, I'm finally going to be able to relax. All I need to do is clear customs, and I'm home free, right? Yeah. So I had my locks tied back. I was trying to be, you know,
undercover
Rasta, you know. I don't know why we even think like that, because there's no way you can be, as a Rasta, you undercover. You're always right. So feel no way, wear the colors, fly and proud, because they still gonna spot you.
And
anyway.
People will be happy to see you flying the colors.
Exactly. So anyway, I walked past this. When you step off the airplane, the first thing you see is a soldier there with a machine gun. And this cat had his dark glasses on, and he was serious business. So I was saying to myself, just let me clear this customs and get on with this. Is my journey is really starting now. I'm home. I just got to do this last, trip. So as I passed this guy, he see my locks, right? And I walked past him. He said, "Hey, you." I turned around and said, "Oh, this guy wants." He says, "You a Rasta man?" I said, "Yeah, I'm Rasta." He dropped down on one knee and said, "Welcome home, Rasta man. What you need?" And I said, "Man, I got 100 pounds of merchandise. I need to clear customs. Can you help me?" And I dashed him $100 American. And I was traveling with this other brother, and he tried to say, "Yeah, man, you know how much money that is? That's 18 million boogler-booglers." And they
right.
I said, "Bro, $100 is $100 around the world."
People do that when they go to Jamaica, and I hate that. Just give the people the money. You know they need it.
Man, we're supposed to be liberating this shit.
Right, we try to hold back.
Right. So anyway, which was nothing. Because you imagine I had 100 pounds, that was nothing.
Nothing.
But this guy, to him, he put it to use. His sister was the customs lady.
Oh, beautiful.
Africa, it's home, right? His brother-in-law was the cab guy. So he just walked me right through the airport, and they carrying my bags, and I'm like
a superstar that you are.
Right. So one of the white people hollered over me, say, Who are you? Because they could hear my accent. They knew that I wasn't local. Yeah. Are you somebody famous? And so my joke was I became Bongo Belafonte.
Chop, chop, chop.
So they got me to the cab with like boof, boof, boof. I'm sitting in the cab. The guy said, "Well, where you want to stay at?" So I had a book of phone numbers, people I had known, been before. So I said, "No, man, I just want to just go somewhere. I don't have a lot of money, but take me to a hotel where I can walk to the ocean. Somewhere where the locals be at, where it's not, it's not a local joint, but somewhere where you might take your lady for a weekend." He said, "I got just the place." So he took me to this place called Hotel Bosom Tree in Accra. And so I get there, man, and
you got that? The Hotel Bosom Tree, I bet it's still there.
It's still there in Accra. So we pull up, and as we sitting there, two brothers are sitting out front smoking a spliff, listening to Joseph Hill.
Wow.
Right?
God.
So we pull up, and it's me and the bass player. We got our instruments, and we jump out the car, and they just go off. "Ah, the Rastas are here!" And we're not even in Africa an hour. We're on the stage playing with the baddest local band in Accra. So the guys rushed us up in our hotel, threw our bags, and said, "Come with us, you got to come with us." And they said, "Well, there's a Jamaican Rasta live around the corner. You know Preacher. And Preacher's a good friend of mine. I've been knowing Preacher, man, for a long time." And I knew he was there, but like I said, I didn't want to come that way. I wanted to come on. Right. So I'm right around the corner from Preacher, man. Right. So we go there, and we wind up at the club, and this is the first night. An hour off the airplane, So this is Rasta business in Africa. So I went there promoting an album, and I was a front lead for a production that was trying to bring James Brown and some other people to Africa. So I was there doing some research for them, and I was having all these meetings with all the real educated.
Oh, this part of the story I didn't hear.
Bougie African people.
I heard how they just spoiled them, though. I heard how they just spoiled them.
I didn't get nothing done. All they want to do is toast and toast and boast and toast. And I'm leaving these meetings. I'm walking through the streets, man. I'm real depressed because I ain't getting shit done. Just meeting after meeting. And I see this little Rasta man in the gully carving up some coconuts or something. He looks. He says, "Oh, Rasta, come." I say, "Yo, man, what you doing here?" And I told him. He said, "Man, my brethren get ready to hit the airwaves in 10 minutes. Come on." Oof.
Rasta works, boy.
That's how you have
now you're
business.
On the radio.
That's how you. I'm with the radio owner who owned the station and couldn't get on.
I love it.
I meet the Rasta man in the street in the gully, and then 20 minutes later, I'm on the radio.
Bongo Belafonte.
So yeah, that's
it. Well,
but
as you know, a lot of us are thinking about going home, and we hear all these horror stories. But that's my friends welcoming to Africa, and we're all going home. Judgment Yard, Chop Chop family, get your papers straight. We're out of here. I love you so much.